When students talk about NMC, they talk about those relationships and the close bond that they had with a faculty member. That's what they remember most.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Currently the Conversation, brought to you by TVC Cherry Capital Airport, your Northern Michigan connection. I'm Christal Frost, and this year, Northwestern Michigan College is celebrating a remarkable milestone, 75 years of serving our region. Since opening its doors in 1951 as Michigan's first community college, NMC has educated tens of thousands of students, myself included. They've adapted to changing industries and become one of the defining institutions in Northern Michigan. The college's anniversary celebration culminates with a special History Day on July 25th, featuring a showcase, a campus history walk, the opening of a 50-year-old time capsule, and even the beginning of a new one for NMC Centennial. Joining me today is someone uniquely qualified to tell that story. Dr. Stephen Siciliano is Vice President for Educational Services at NMC and chaired the college's 75th anniversary history work group, helping bring decades of stories and photographs and milestones together into a digital timeline celebrating the college's legacy. He's also been recognized statewide for his leadership in higher education, recently being appointed to Michigan's Advisory Council on Transfer Success. Stephen, thank you so much. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Christal, for the invitation.
I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to talk more about NMC. I am a college graduate from Northwestern Michigan College, and I just have so many fond memories of my time there. But I want to talk a little bit about college history and really why it matters, right? When people hear college history, they may think of like dates and buildings, right? But this project feels so much bigger than that. What inspired the decision to really tell NMC's story as a part of this 75th anniversary?
Well, one of the things that we recognized is that the college has evolved over the last 75 years, and we wanted to take stock in that growth and evolution that we've enjoyed, and the continuing partnership and connections we have with the community. It's often been said that NMC is the community's college, and we really see it that way.
Yeah. You know, I spent many years working for the wonderful Midwestern Broadcasting, which was founded by Les Biederman, who was also very, very, very much involved in the founding of the college. And there were always these almost legends that, you know, people would go to Round's restaurant and they would say, all right, what does the town need? They need a college. But how did this actually happen? Because to me, I'm like, that's a great story. And maybe that's how it worked. But how did Northwestern Michigan College come to Traverse City? How did we get this?
Oh, I do think Les Biederman was absolutely central to the story of...
And Round's restaurant, right?
Absolutely. He brought people together, and the leaders of the community, in terms of the governmental leaders and business leaders of our community, and they recognized, as Les did, that we really lacked higher education opportunity here in lower Northwest Lower Michigan, and because of that, they really wanted to try to find that solution. They had been talked before the 1950 opening, but there was concerns that did we have the population size to justify it? But then laws changed and interpretations of the laws changed, and they came to the conclusion, yes, that NMC could be created with the population that we had in this community. And so Les and the founders that included individuals that led our government. I mean, one of our early leaders was Bill Milliken, who was our future governor.
Yeah. I mean, what a cool group to just be eating pancakes and coming up with plans. I love that. That's fantastic. You know, getting back to the timeline, one thing that really I find so wonderful about the timeline is that it doesn't just highlight, you know, the expansion, the new buildings, the builds, the academic program. It really focuses on the people. You're mentioning some of those people, some of those early founders, but why do you think it was so important to make this about the students and the faculty and the staff and the community who built NMC?
Because I think the real true importance of the college not to take anything away from the wonderful infrastructure that we have in the college, it comes down to relationships. The relationships between the college and the community, the relationships that we have built among the students, the faculty, and staff at the college. It's all about that. And when students talk about NMC after they've graduated, they talk about those relationships and the close bond that they had with a faculty member or staff member, and that's what they remember most.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for people who haven't explored the timeline yet, it's pretty extensive. Like, I understand it includes more than 100 milestones.
Yes, well, we had rich archives, and we took full advantage of that. The timeline really is one of the things that we see ongoing. We'll, of course, celebrate the 75 years, but the timeline will just continue, and we'll build on that as we approach our 100th anniversary.
Yeah, which is, I mean, just, 25 years away.
Yes.
That's my NMC math, by the way. I did that. Let's go back to 1951 when we're talking about, some of the founders who decided that, this community needs a college. There is, what else was happening in Northern Michigan at the time? Like, how, if somebody was just to go back 75 years, would they recognize Traverse City?
Well, I think the wonderful growth of tourism in Traverse City would have been somewhat of a surprise to people in 1951.
Yeah.
Of course, we had the cherry industry, and we had agriculture was still very important to our region. But that tourism that we certainly highlight during the Cherry Festival, that I think that growth would have been somewhat of a surprise.
Yeah. And even the landscape, even thinking about looking downtown or looking at, the open space didn't exist and, some things like that. When you're talking about those founders, discovering that we had a need for a community college, was it really like based on wanting to keep the young people here? It
was. Les Biederman directly spoke to that. He said, our young people are leaving this region because of a lack of higher education, and then they're not coming back. And so this was a way for us to grow our community and to take advantage of the young people and getting that access to higher education, and so that they could stay here and have a life and build a career here.
Absolutely. So when you're looking through 75 years, I think about these moments that I think sort of fundamentally changed or allowed the college to evolve. What are some of those moments that you think really changed the direction of the college?
Well, I don't know if it's so much a change of direction as it's an expansion. We certainly had a lane that was intended to provide transfer for our students so that they could complete their associate's degree here and then move on and receive a bachelor's at a university. But we've also been very cognizant of our role in building occupations here in the region. And so as the community spoke with us and we spoke with the community, what are the things that we need to provide? And so taking on the nursing program in the 1960s, recognized that was a gap that had been created by the closure of the nursing program at State Hospital. And so we took that on. We recognized in the late 1960s the need for aviators. With the growth of the airport, we're providing pilots for those. There was a need for law enforcement, and so we have a police academy. And then in 1969, one of Les's more unusual ideas was to create a platform on the water for learning. Now, he had somewhat of a vision of having a ship that would go around the world to learn. But what we did develop in 1969 was getting the acceptance by the federal government of the creation of the Great Lakes Maritime Academy. And since that time, we have had a ship provided by the federal government to provide that training that our cadets need.
I'm thinking also of the the university center, so people maybe didn't have to go away to finish that 4-year degree. The innovation center, which is just beautiful on campus. The Denos Museum. I mean, some of these things that are just so iconic now and really expanded, as you say, the offerings, but also just the community's awareness of the college.
Yes. One of the things we like to say about NMC is that we're not like any other community college. And when you consider an award-winning art museum and center, that is kind of speaks to the fact that no one is like that among community colleges in Michigan. And then when you also consider, again, in the mid-1990s, the feeling was, wouldn't it be great if we could provide access to bachelor's and master's, even doctorate degrees in this region? Because the closest university is Ferris State University, and that can be a real challenge, particularly for people that are working full-time and have families. And so the University Center was born with that concept in mind, again, connecting with the community and finding a way to create a university center that had almost a dozen universities partnering with us to provide those bachelor's, master's, and even doctorate degree.
Yeah. I think one of the things, too, that makes NMC so special is its diverse makeup of students. I think automatically when you think about college, right, you're thinking about, and quite frankly, this is a large portion of the students who are going to NMC are either dually enrolled in high school classes, what a great opportunity, or they're just out of high school and they are seeking that, associates before they move forward, or maybe they're looking for a vocational career or something, a certificate program. But there is also a growing number, and quite frankly, when I was there, I didn't feel like the only adult learner in the classroom. I had a cohort of people who, maybe had some false starts, just like me in college. So you didn't feel like an outsider, and yet you have instructors that are teaching to a class that is very, very diverse. So that is, can you speak to some of the, the very unique qualities of that? Community college now has sort of become known for having a variety of students, but NMC seems to have done it so well to really allow for a whole group of students. I remember my lab partner. I'm a 40-something-year-old woman at the time, and my lab partner was in high school. And we got along famously. It was great. And those are the kinds of things that you just don't see in other areas.
Yes, so the richness that you speak to is certainly something that faculty recognize. When I was in the faculty, the connection between older students and younger students was always wonderful because the younger students brought with them their recent experiences, and then the older students could bring their life experiences to the classroom. Right. So it made class discussion so much richer because people came from the perspectives from so many different ways.
Yeah. I remember in particular taking an ethics class with a wide variety of high school kids, students who were dually enrolled all the way. I was in the class with a gentleman in his 70s who was a veteran. And that was, what a wonderful, rich discussion that we would have about ethics, that people would bring their own perspectives and their very unique lived experiences to that. I'm wondering how the faculty adjusts to that, because oftentimes when you become if you're going to teach at the college level or you become a professor, you are sort of gearing some of your stuff toward maybe one group of students. How do they adjust?
I think when faculty come to NMC, they are anticipating the diversity of students. One of my tasks is to interview all of our full-time candidates before they become hired by NMC. And one of the questions I always ask is, so how do you vary your teaching methods to the diversity of students? And that's just an expectation. And, it's not only an expectation, but it's something, frankly, that I think attract our new faculty to NMC because they have that richness of diversity within the classroom that they can count on then.
And they get those very rich discussions. I
Yes.
mean, that has to be very rewarding.
It is.
I want to talk a little bit about how community college they often wear many hats. They're preparing those recent high school graduates. They're working with working adults,
Yes.
They have to have classes that are offered at very different times if someone has a full-time job. They're doing online classes. They
Yes.
have hybrid options. They're talking about people who are taking courses for career changes. There's retirees who are lifelong learners. And I'm recalling when NMC made the decision to bring in more family housing. That was a big deal because they recognized students having children.
Yes.
And there were just all these initiatives that were developed early on before breaking barriers was actually a thing. Can you speak to that a little about NMC, just a haberdashery of putting on all these different hats?
Well, that's one of the things that I think makes it so enjoyable to work at NMC is that there's so many different opportunities to serve the community in so many different ways. We recognize that one of the challenges we have in our community is housing, which is why NMC's part of its strategic plan is looking to build more housing that's available to students so that they don't have to face the struggle of finding affordable housing in our community. We currently partner with Munson to have childcare on our campus at the Olson Center, again, recognizing another challenge that the community has in terms of affordable childcare. So taking stock of what our students need, one of the other challenges that students have is regarding food insecurity. And so we create an on-campus food pantry that is free to our students. Still, again, when students are looking for professional clothing for interviews, we have a place where they can access free clothing of professional wear so that they can wear what is appropriate for that special interview.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention, too, that NMC adapting to the needs of employers. You mentioned the creation of, we knew we were going to need more pilots. So therefore, we started the aviation department, the nursing department. We saw a gap in the community, in what the community needed, and we were there to fill it. Collaborative partnerships have been a really big part of NMC, which doesn't always happen in college. It doesn't always happen in universities and colleges where people are okay with bringing in outside influence and collaborative partnerships. And I'm thinking about partnerships with Networks Northwest and Michigan Works and these other nonprofits that are there to strengthen the community as well. And that doesn't always happen either.
Well, one of the things that makes our relationships with the business community so both valuable and effective is that all of our occupational programs have advisory committees that comprise business leaders and different folks within the business community. So when I sit down at the Automotive Technology Advisory Committee, all the representatives of our local automotive companies are around that table, and they are part of the decision-making process of helping us make our programs as relevant as possible.
That is exactly why NMC is known as the community's college, isn't it?
It is.
Because it's stakeholders from every walk of life, every business that are having a voice in what the college is offering. And we're here with Kevin Klein, Executive Director of TVC Cherry Capital Airport. Where are we going, Kevin?
Well, we have 20 nonstop destinations to choose from. Dallas.
Yes.
I always...
Everybody wants to go to Texas, man.
And Texas is not only a great market for leisure for us, but it's also a great market for business. And a lot of our companies here in Northern Michigan do business in that northern Texas, Oklahoma area, that Dallas is a great nonstop destination. Houston.
Oh, I love it.
Houston will be operating this year nonstop. I love Houston going down there. We went to the Kennedy Space Center. If you're a space nut, let me tell you, that is a fun tour to go through that facility and see all the rockets.
So many opportunities for all of you to make your summer travel plans right now. Best way to do that is go to
tvcairport.com.
Love it. The other thing that stood out to me when I was researching for this conversation was the growth in scholarships. And we all know some of these statewide initiatives, including Michigan Reconnect and some of the governor's initiatives to have more individuals in the state of Michigan having postgraduate, post-high school degrees. But the growth in scholarships it's just exploded. And so it's, again, the leadership of NMC looking at this as, yes, we can connect to, federal dollars and state dollars, but there are going to be those needs that maybe, a grant isn't going to be able to help you with. And that's where the scholarships come in. The timeline notes that there was once $1 million milestone, and now that has grown to like $2 million annually? Is that what you're giving away?
I can't exactly speak to that
Yeah.
figure, but I can say that it is over $1 million. And when you consider the college scholarships in tandem with the governor's community college guarantee, where any student that lives in Grand Traverse County can come to NMC tuition free, and that is what a great opportunity for our students. And students outside of Grand Traverse can go for about half the cost normally of tuition if they are recent high school graduates.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And affordability is another tenet. I mean, it's a big part of NMC's mission.
It is. And I think that's what makes it such a community's college, when there's so much accessibility from, and as you said, the recent high school graduates and people often that we see that are looking for a second or third career where they find a program that really connects to their passion, and then they go from there.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you have to mention some of the fun classes too. I mean, the summer enrichment courses, the College for Kids, all of these things are so fun. And I especially love the College for Kids because you're bringing children onto a college campus, and maybe they haven't even thought about it. Maybe they're 4 or 5 years old, but they have that connection immediately. And I think that's another thing that's so special about the Denos, where maybe you're feeling like, oh, I don't know, I don't really belong to the college scene, but I feel accepted in the Denos, and that opens the door to other things,
Absolutely. Our extended education services provide such great opportunities for college kids, right through the folks that come onto campus for campus day. And it really speaks, that particular division really speaks to that whole concept of lifelong learning.
Yeah.
We're always learners, and we continue to be learners throughout our lives. And extended ed provides a really easy way for people to engage the college in that way.
Yeah. When we're talking about collecting all of these documents and photos, I mean, to create this timeline, that had to be quite an undertaking. I can't imagine that you just have a basement full of this stuff, that you were just waiting for it. Like, where did all of these photos and these historical documents come from?
Well, in large part, they came from the college archives. We've have several of them already digitized, and so that made that task a bit easier. But to your point, actually, the archives is in the basement of the Austerlin building, so it did start there. And the support of members of the work team. I have to really point out Ann Swaney, who is our longtime archivist and librarian. She has been just tremendous in being able to identify and to locate the documents we needed to make the timeline as rich as it is.
Were there any discoveries when you're putting all this together that surprised, like, even you? I mean, a photograph or a story that you didn't know?
I think there were a number of surprises. I don't know about the stories because I think the stories kind of go further than the photos. But yes, having just discovered, for instance, we had an entire pack of photographs from the 50th anniversary celebration. And, I know I was there, but I wasn't sure. But sure enough, one of the photos had me in it. So I guess I was there.
You were there. You were, Stephen. I really like asking historians this question about, do you find yourself when you're working on a project like this going down rabbit holes?
Oh, absolutely. You find one photograph, you think, well, if we could only have one additional photograph that maybe has a different perspective. And then, of course, you keep looking for those. And sometimes we find them, and sometimes just unfortunately, it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, right. But you're spending that time to look.
Absolutely.
History isn't just about looking behind us, looking backwards. It's about understanding where we're going.
Yes.
And as someone who works every day with students and academic programs, what excites you most about the next chapter for NMC?
Well, I think that what's most exciting is, of course, that we're creating the Freshwater Research Innovation Center, and that, of course, is one of the highlights of what NMC does, the study of fresh water. And that is an exciting development. We have the Great Lakes Water Studies Institute that offers a unique bachelor's degree in marine technology. And looking at that and building on that, I think, is exciting for us, and it's part of where we see the blue water economy going.
Yeah. I'm thinking also about the other industries and the way that the world is so rapidly changing, and advanced manufacturing, you mentioned freshwater studies, aviation, healthcare is always changing, but artificial intelligence as well. How does NMC stay responsive to this changing world while also remaining true to the mission?
Well, I think learning is central to our mission, and providing that for our community is also as well. So I would say artificial intelligence is part of our new strategic plan that we started at the start of this year, and one of the strategies is to develop policies, practices, and implement changes in our curriculum that enables our students to responsibly use artificial intelligence. Yeah. And so it's already started in our curriculum. We're offering an introduction to artificial intelligence course this fall in our business area, but the course itself is broad so that anyone who's interested in artificial intelligence can take that course. That's
a smart course to take.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. You were recently appointed to Michigan's new Advisory Council on Transfer Success.
Yes.
What is that? What is that council, and why are transfer pathways something that are so important for students?
Transfer is a challenge in our state because we are not a system state. Each of the universities are autonomous, and because of that, there isn't a single board or oversight that creates a common curriculum at the university level. So it is a challenge for students when they leave a community college to transfer to a university because each of the universities, their programs are different, their courses are different, the numbering of the courses are different, and so all of that makes for a challenge. And so the creation of transfer pathways becomes critical because it gives the students a pathway, a trail map, as you would, to give them the way to go from the associate's degree and earn their bachelor's degree.
I will say, some of the faculty, all of the faculty is fantastic, but I remember when I was starting again on my college journey and I was working with Lindsay Dickinson at the time. She's wonderful.
Yes, she is.
I will sometimes I should just, at some point tell her thank you because there were times that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing,
Yes.
I was doing this full time during a pandemic and I had a full-time job and it was like, wow. But she always talked about the future. So she never, said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because she knew who she was talking to. But she said, where do you see yourself going? So we could look at that transfer path.
Yes.
And she could say, so I can get you into the classes because if you're looking to, finish your bachelor's, this is what I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things I hadn't even thought of. And I think that makes such a difference for students because you might be halfway through your associates and you just say, I do think I want to go to, finish my bachelor's. They're already making you think that way. They're already opening those doors and saying, well, if you're thinking about that, why don't we just do this? Why don't we put you in this class?
Yes.
And it's a game changer.
It is. And the pathway work that the Transfer Council is working on, we're creating 10 new pathways of different programs, 3 of which are in education, which of course is trying to address another need for our state to provide more teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. Community colleges are obviously one of the smartest educational investments available. It's a smart way for parents to think about, paying for their child's education. Because, let's just face it, it's a good deal. If you can get your first 2 years of college paid for,
yes,
that's a really great deal. What do you wish that more people understood about today's community college students and today's community college?
I think that, first of all, that it can't be beat in terms of affordability. And secondly, that the college is prepared to provide access to any type of student and provide the support that they need to be successful. That is our focus, is on student success. And then beyond that, recognizing that our next step is getting them to complete, so they complete their associate's degree or complete the certificate that they're working on so that they can get a better job where they are in or want to change their careers. And then thirdly, to help them connect with our community so they find that successful employment so that they have sustainable wages so that they can raise a family here in this region.
And, get it back to Les's mission of young people staying here.
Right.
Love that. Let's talk about History Day, which is coming up on July 25th. And honestly, it sounds like a birthday party to me. Can you walk us through what people can expect?
Yes. So on Saturday morning, July the 25th, we start with one of 4 distinct events on campus. So it's the Front Street campus. The first event will be a history showcase in the Millikan Auditorium. You, of course, will be our facilitator.
I get to be a moderator. I know. I'm excited.
So we are looking forward to that. We will premiere our brand new history video that will both talk about the history and the future of the college. We will have the panel discussion that you facilitate for important people of the history of the college will be interviewed. And then we will open the time capsule, which was created 50 years ago. It was filled 25 years ago with 50th anniversary items, which will be revealed in the public. And then when that concludes, there will be a history walk that actually starts at 11. The showcase may go to 11:30, depending on how that goes. And then from 11 to 2 is the history walk, starting in the Millikan Auditorium, stretching to 7 different locations. And then between 11:30 and 1:30, there will be lunch available for purchase at the Hawk Owl Cafe. We have picnic tables. Hopefully it'll be a pleasant day for people to eat outside. And then in the evening, it climaxes with a concert. 2 of our groups, our concert band and our jazz lab band, will perform starting at 7 o'clock, again, back at the Millikan.
Wow.
And the history walk and the concerts are all free and open to the public.
I love it. The time capsule.
Yes.
I love the idea of opening one time capsule. Are you starting a new time capsule as well?
Well, what we will plan to do actually is we'll probably archive the items in the 75th, and then we'll start to fill it for
the 100th. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
When I was in elementary school, we had a time capsule. In Interlochen Elementary School is where I went. And I think about this probably twice a week. I have no idea where that is. Like, we buried it. I remember it was there. I put a bracelet in it and like a book that I loved. And I don't think we ever have opened it. You know, clearly, I mean, it was only, I don't know, maybe 40 years ago, but time capsules are fun like that. It's supposed to capture that spirit of what you're all doing in this time, you know? I love it. If you were putting one item from this year into a time capsule that represents NMC, what do you think it would be?
Wow, that's a great question.
I mean, it's got to be the mascot, right?
I don't think we could fit the mascot into the time
Just
capsule.
a little stuffed animal. There you go. I love it.
That could very well be the best thing to put in.
Because this is the year we finally got the new mascot.
It is.
It's so great. I love it. I'm going to finish things up with a little bit. I like to do a little lightning round, so you don't have to think too much about this. What is one word that you would use to describe NMC?
Learning.
What's your favorite piece of NMC history? That's hard.
Oh, it is hard. Oh, I think it's the very start of Les Biederman flying over the airport and deciding that the Quonset huts that were being surplus might be the first home of NMC.
That's so cool. What is your favorite place on campus?
You know, a newer place on campus that is very lovely is there is a reading room inside our new library. Mm-hmm. Has a fireplace in it, beautiful light coming through the windows. I think that's a lovely place for people they should find out more about that.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, Bill Marsh, who also loves NMC.
Yes.
He used to tell me that he would hold his meetings at the Innovation Center because he's like, it's just the most beautiful place.
It is.
I was like, that's a really cool idea. Grab something from the cafeteria. It's great. What is a person from NMC history that everyone should know?
Well, I think it has to be Les Biederman as one of our founders.
Yeah. What is one thing that people would be surprised to learn about NMC? And I will tell you, I did not know that NMC was the very first community college in Michigan.
I think people might be surprised that our Front Street campus wasn't our first one.
I'm surprised at that too. Yeah, that's great. I would like you to finish this sentence. 75 years from now, I hope people say about NMC. That
they've been a learner at NMC.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Stephen, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure learning more about this. I invite everyone to attend NMC History Day, July 25th. As Stephen said, it's kicking off in the morning around 9 a.m. You get there, engage in the conversations, do the history walk. Please come to the panel discussion, see the time capsule. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And as we've talked about today, it is the community's college. So everyone, regardless of whether you've ever been to NMC or not, you are invited to take part in this. It is your college. Congratulations to everyone at NMC on reaching this incredible milestone. 75 years is an extraordinary accomplishment. And it's clear that NMC's story is really the story of Northern Michigan. Its people, its industries, its families, and its future. And if you want to learn more about the 75th anniversary, which we've been talking about, and to explore the interactive timeline yourself, visit NMC's 75th anniversary website. History Day, as I said, Saturday, July 25th, and the community is invited to attend. I'm Christal Frost. This has been The Conversation, brought to you by TVC Cherry Capital Airport, your Northern Michigan connection. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.